All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tearing apart a prologue that's not really an introduction at all. It's more like a philosophical bomb. It's the origin for one of the most fascinating figures out there, the Grün Goldnar, the verdant and gold jester. We're going to see how one single act of defiance becomes the blueprint for an entire saga of glorious chaos. And it all kicks off with this title, Parable of the First Step into the Void. Right away, the language tells you this isn't just some guy leaving a room. This is a myth. It's about that deliberate, terrifying, and maybe even liberating choice to step right off the map of the known world, just to see what happens.
So, what's the big move here? It sounds pretty simple. Our jester, Der Grüngold Narr, just turns his back on the halls of the Jarls. But this isn't him just leaving a party early. No, this is a complete and total rejection of an entire worldview, the world of law, honor, destiny, all of it. He's literally walking out on reality as everyone else knows it.
Now, this big departure, it's not just him walking out the door. It unfolds in 5 really distinct beats. Think of it less like a walk and more like a ritual. Every single step is a calculated move away from the old world and deeper into a new one that he's creating for himself. Let's follow his footsteps.
So first, he bails on civilization and crosses over into the wild. Then he stops and has this moment where he really confronts his own divided self. He performs a ritual to, literally wake up the world around him. He gives himself a new name with a new purpose. And then finally, he merges with the very chaos he chose, kicking off his very own saga. So that's the what. But the why? Well, that's where things get really interesting. And that's because in this prologue, everything is a symbol. Every object he carries, every move he makes, it is absolutely loaded with meaning. This isn't just a story. It's like we're watching a psychoanalysis happen in real time. To get the jester, we got to break down the tools of his trade. First up, that golden hand. Now, this isn't just a fancy gauntlet. Think of it as a physical piece of his lineage, a heavy, gilded past that he literally cannot take off. This history isn't something he can just forget about. It's fused to him, a constant, weighty reminder of where he comes from. And this plugs right into some pretty deep psychology. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is the part of us we try to hide away. Well, the jester's golden hand holds what the text calls shadow necromancy. That's all the failures, the broken oaths, the traumas of his ancestors. But here's the kicker. Instead of cutting it off, he embraces it. He integrates all that darkness, turning the suffocating weight of his past into pure fuel for his own will. Okay, so what about his weapon? Or maybe his anti-weapon, the chipped axe. In a world full of legendary swords and perfect, mighty hammers, his main tool is something that is fundamentally broken. So what on earth does it mean to walk into a saga carrying a broken axe? See, a hero's weapon is all about power, perfection, imposing order. By choosing a chipped axe, the jester is doing something radical. It's like a symbolic castration of that entire heroic ideal. He is deliberately rejecting the pressure to be a hero, dismantling what psychologists call the ego ideal, that voice from society that tells you what you must be. And this quote from the text just nails his whole perspective. For the jester, the traditional path of heroism and honor, it isn't freedom, it's a prison. Sure, it's a gorgeous-looking cage, but if you choose it, you kill the very spirit that makes life worth living. And that brings us to the last symbol, the fool's rattle. It seems like a silly toy, right? But it's actually the key to his final transformation. It's his new source of power. The sound of that rattle tells us he's hit the final stage in Nietzsche's 3 metamorphoses. First, he was the camel, carrying the heavy burden of his golden past. Then he became the lion, using that chipped axe to destroy old values. But now, with the rattle, he becomes the child. A new beginning, creating new values not with force, but with what the text calls active laughter. Okay, so we've got the psychology, but this transformation goes even deeper. It's straight up philosophical. The jester isn't just running away from something, he is actively building a whole new way to exist. And it's all built on the conflict between himself and, well, everything else. The text actually grounds this in the philosophy of Fichte, which is basically a 3-step recipe for how a self figures out its place in the world. First, the thesis. He asserts his own existence. He declares, I am the villain nar, the willful. Second, the antithesis. He defines everything else, heroes, kings, laws, as the not I. They are external, they are not him. And finally, the synthesis. He just dissolves the boundary between the two, becoming one with the chaotic world he's chosen. So here it is, side by side. You've got his I. It's fluid, chaotic, always in a state of becoming, kind of like a river. And then you have the not I, the world he left. It's static, rigid, trapped in a state of just being, like a statue. And that right there is the fundamental conflict that's going to drive everything.
So what's his mission now? What's his grand purpose? To become a void mirror. This is his weapon. He's not going to fight heroes with a sword. He's just going to hold up this mirror and reflect their own emptiness, their own constructed realities right back at them. He'll show them their crowns and castles are just illusions until those symbols of power become nothing more than worthless, heavy burdens. So when you put all these pieces together, the symbols, the psychology, the philosophy, you start to see that this prologue isn't just an introduction at all. It is a complete thematic map. It's a blueprint for the entire saga of Frenzy that's about to unfold. It's like the prologue is giving us the rule book for this new saga. Rule 1, the fights aren't physical, they're metaphysical. Rule 2, the real bad guy isn't some evil king, it's the very concept of heroic destiny. Rule 3, the action will take place in the chaotic, in-between spaces of the world. And the climax of every single encounter will be that chilling moment when a character is forced to look into the Jester's void mirror and see their own nothingness. Ultimately, the Jester is more than just a character. He's described as an ontological storm. Now, ontological is just a fancy word for the nature of being, of reality itself. So he isn't just a guy who causes trouble. He is a force of nature that doesn't just challenge people. He challenges the very structure of their reality. He's a walking existential crisis for everyone he meets. And if you had to boil all this down to one core philosophy, it's this: active nihilism. This isn't the mopey, nothing matters, so I'll just sit here kind of nihilism. This is about taking action. The Jester believes the world's values are hollow, so he's going to actively work to dissolve them, to replace the heavy, tragic stories of heroes with the creative, liberating laughter of the sovereign fool. Which leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We're all used to stories about heroes who build worlds. But this is a story about a fool whose entire purpose is to dissolve one. So the question is, what, if anything, gets created when a fool's frenzy tears it all down? Something to think about.